Alright, so here we are, man. Meals with macros, round number 3. So, let's recap. Round number 1, we made French toast. Round number 2, we did chicken bacon pasta, as I'm trying to make all these non-bodybuilding foods. Now tonight, we're actually going to go in a very different direction. And that's because I was thinking through what I wanted to make for this round number 3, for this third iteration of Meals with Macros. And the first thing I thought about was, man, I should make some pizza. I should make some pizza. But then I thought about it and I'm like, why would I do that? Why would I make pizza when I can just so easily call P Hut and get chicken, bacon, onion pizza delivered right to my doorstep? So that didn't even make any sense. And then I thought, let me make some brownies. There is no better non-bodybuilding food than the brownie. And I almost decided to make brownies. But I'm not going to do that because, and this is a great segue into what we are going to make tonight, because if you guys have been following my weekly logs and you've been following the chicken bacon pasta video, and you've kind of been following my tweets and the different things I'm posting on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever, at jschultzf3, for those of you guys that might want to follow along, you know that last week, the chicken bacon pasta was fine. The chicken bacon pasta was not a problem. But I got a little too judicious with my calories on that day, and as a result, I am paying the price this week. So today is my high day. Today is my high carb kind of refeed day, but I don't have that many calories. I don't have that many carbs today because I overshot too much last week. So I thought, I'm not going to make brownies. Why would I make brownies? I'm like, yeah, I could fit them in. Yes, I could prove my point and fit these guys in and continue to make progress. But I don't really want to do that because I don't want to allocate, 70, 80, 90, 100 carbs to some brownies when I could have some oatmeal, or I could have a sweet potato, or I could have a sandwich, or I could have so many other things that would be so much more satisfying and satiating. So, what we're going to make tonight, you guys probably heard the oven is now preheated. We're going to make my award-winning chicken. And by awards, I mean it hasn't won any formal awards, but informally, man, this thing is shooting the lights out. So I'm going to show you guys how to make this chicken. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. So I've got my chicken here. So the one thing that I've learned, the first thing is this. The quality of chicken that you buy is very, very important. If you buy like Costco brand chicken, or you buy like Sam's Club brand chicken, and I've tried this, I've done this. The stuff that's selling for $1.50 a pound, $2 a pound, it's really tough to make that stuff taste really, really good. There is a glass ceiling as to how good you can really make that stuff taste. So the quality of chicken is quite important. So I'm going to open up my little pack of chicken here. And I'm bringing you guys through every step of the process, man. I'm taking you guys from start to finish on this chicken. And I'll tell you, man, so we've hit the non-bodybuilding foods for 3 weeks in a row now. Granola, French toast, and then pasta. So I'm pretty happy with what we were able to do. I was hoping that I'd be able to do another one tonight, but the circumstances have dictated that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Well, speaking of non-bodybuilding foods, there is no better bodybuilding food than chicken. But the problem is, chicken gets really bland, and chicken gets really, really boring. So tonight, I'm going to show you guys a way to really spice that thing up, both literally and figuratively, to make your chicken so much more enjoyable. So the first thing that I like to do is, so we've got like a regular chicken breast here, right? If you look at this chicken breast though, you'll see that there's a decent amount of fat on that chicken breast. Now one of the things that I like to personally do, you don't have to do this, I guess this is going to be personal preference, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these guys up, man. I like to trim off kind of all the visible fat. Not because there's anything wrong with eating the fat. I just don't personally like the way that it tastes. It's just, kind of a texture and a taste thing for me. So I just trimmed that guy up so you can see. Let me put my knife down. So you can see it's looking pretty clean now. And that only took me, it only took me a minute or two. And so I'm going to do that for all 5 of these guys. We're going to get all these guys looking good. Give them all a little haircut so that they're all ready for their day on stage. So that's 2. So let's trim up this 3rd guy. And then I actually did a really good job this time of getting everything set out ahead of time. So I think I've got pretty much everything I need for my chicken at least. And then while the chicken is cooking, I may leave you guys on board and show you guys kind of how I make my oatmeal. Now chicken and oatmeal may seem like a weird combination, and it is. But tonight I decided I'm going to have the foods that I really enjoy eating all the time, which happen to be chicken, oatmeal, onions, just all the regular stuff. Barbecue sauce. I'll probably have like a bottle of barbecue sauce today since it's a high carb, high calorie day. And I'm not even going to worry about it. Alright, so all of my chicken now is trimmed up. Oh, got a little straggler right there. Alright, so all my chicken is trimmed up now. So let's get these guys set out. And then I am going to wash my hands. So give me 1 second. Because nothing drives me crazier than people who handle raw meat constantly and do not wash their hands. I'm just like, man. I mean, even the people on the cooking shows, like I see you guys doing this, man. I'm like, are you not worried about contamination or cross-contamination or I don't know, some kind of contamination because you're polluting everything around you. Alright, so we got my chickens ready to go. Before I get my spice blend together, which we're going to do that here in a second, the first thing you got to do with any meat is you got to season it with salt and pepper. So this is the very first thing. Now, some people like to put the salt and pepper in with their spice blend. And you know what? I think that's probably fine. I personally have kind of found through experience that your food actually tastes better if the salt and the pepper like go on the meat as like the first layer. And that might be a psychological thing. I don't know that there's necessarily any real good logical reasoning as to why that might be true. But it sounds really good to me, at least in theory. So we're going to go with it, man. Now I'm using this little crummy little pepper mill that I got from Mariano's. And that's because, let me move my trash can out of the way here. That's because this awesome pepper mill that I bought at one of those tents in this little fair in St. Petersburg, Florida, this thing just stopped working about 2 weeks ago. And so the dude that made these, man, you need to step your game up because this thing broke after about 2 months. That was pretty disappointing. Alright, so my pepper is on here. So what I'm going to do actually before I salt this is, I forgot, I need to get my pans going. Because what we're going to use, we've got the oven preheated to 350. We've got to heat up our pans. Well, actually, I'm not going to do that yet. I'll wait a second. Because I don't want it to get too hot. It'll get way too smoky in here if I do it now. So there was a reason why I waited, and now I remember why. So we got the pepper on the chicken. Now we're going to salt the chicken. And let me tell you guys something. If you've been following the first 2 Meals with Macros episodes, or segments, you know that, man, I heart salt. But when it comes to just seasoning meat in general, whether you love salt, don't like salt, don't like salt, it doesn't matter. If you want your meat, if you want your food to taste good, you've got to blast this stuff with seasoning. So do not be shy on the salt. And that just means, you're looking at a nice, healthy pinch on each side. You don't want to just salt one side, unless you only want one side of your food to taste good. So, alright, we got pepper, we've got salt. One thing I did forget is I need a bowl for my spice blend. Alright, so here's the spice blend. I'm not going to weigh the spice blend necessarily. I'm just putting it on the scale because I don't have any room. Alright, so there's going to be 5 elements to this spice blend. Alright, now this has gone through so many iterations of trial and error. Trust me when I tell you guys this. I've tried just about every combination under the sun, and this is what I've settled on. So this is a brown sugar spice blend. So the first component is going to be, we're going to use about a heaping tablespoon of brown sugar. So you can see that's kind of a nice rounded tablespoon of brown sugar. This is for 5 chicken breasts. Each chicken breast is probably somewhere between 5 and 7 ounces if I was going to guess. Now, what I basically do is I don't actually measure like the chili powder and the paprika and the onion powder and the garlic that goes in next. Those are my 5 pieces. I just put them in relative to the brown sugar. So for example, there's about over a tablespoon of brown sugar. The chili powder, I want to have a little bit more chili powder than I have brown sugar. So I'm just going to kind of dump this in there until I get to about where I want. So that's probably about what I want. So chili powder and paprika, I want about equal parts chili powder and paprika. And you can play around with, it really depends on what you personally like. If you like chili flavored stuff, then you're going to use more chili powder, right? So you want about 1 part chili powder, 1 part paprika. I would say about 1 part onion powder, so about the same onion powder as you had the other 2 elements. The other 2 elements. It's 3 elements. 2 elements plus 1 element is 3 elements. And then the last one is garlic powder. Now, I'm only going to use a little bit of garlic powder, but if you really like garlic powder, you could use a lot of garlic powder. That would be absolutely fine. So I've got that spice blend all ready to go. All I have to do now, you can see, it's looking pretty good there. But you got to mix it up, right, to get a nice even distribution. Now, you could put each element on the actual meat if you wanted to, but then I think you may end up with kind of an inconsistent taste. And so, we want consistency in our bites. And so I'm just going to really, really judiciously coat these chicken breasts. And trust me, man, when I tell you, these things are well coated. You don't want to be shy here. You want to coat this guy really, really well. Alright, so now what I typically do, now I remember kind of my system here. Now I have one side done. Before I flip it over and do the other side, this is where I heat up the pans. So I've got my 2 pans ready to go. I'm going to heat them both up to really high heat. Because what I want to do is I want to sear the chicken on both sides and then pop it in the oven. The sear bake technique, man, it is so consistent. You sear it to lock in those juices, and then you bake it to obviously cook the inside, and then you end up with a nice crust on the outside and just a really, really kind of moist, kind of melt in your mouth middle. Man, it is the best combination ever. So I'm going to flip my chicken over now, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And another thing about seasoning your chicken or your meat a lot is, when you watch these cooking shows, if you watch these guys, watch any one of them, any of these professional guys, they all season their meat just so heavily. And what they're trying to basically do is they want to season their food so well that you're not reaching for the salt shaker when the dish comes out, right? If you have to salt your food, then, they fail, basically. And so I've kind of taken the same approach to my own food, and then at least my chicken, and then I'm like, hey, you shouldn't need to salt this. If you do, then, man, you love salt more than I love salt, and that's hard to do. All right, so that's all ready to go. So now let me coat these guys with my seasoning blend, and then we'll get out the 2 secret elements. As if the brown sugar isn't secret enough, I have another secret ready to go for you guys. So let me do this really quick, and man, I'm excited. I'll tell you what, one of the huge benefits today to not doing brownies or not doing pizza, or I even contemplated Mexican food, which obviously would have been an excellent choice, is I'm gonna have a bunch of chicken here with a bunch of onions and barbecue sauce, a huge bowl of oatmeal, and then tonight I'm having protein pancakes with syrup and blueberries and butter. They're gonna be amazing. I almost did my video on those, but I was like, no, I'm gonna do this chicken. We'll do the protein pancakes. Sometime in the future. Don't worry, I won't let you guys down. So, alright, so the chicken is ready to go. In fact, here, I'll even show you show you kind of one of these. Well, I don't want to. Yeah, I can clean the floor up. Well, no, I don't want to do that. I'll do it. Not usually indecisive, but so if you look at that, you can see, and I'll clean that floor up. Don't worry, Autumn. It'll be clean. You can see it's pretty well coated, right? That guy's pretty heavily coated with the seasoning blend, and so as I said, you really want to season your food pretty well. All right, so that's ready to go. So here's the secret. The secret to this whole operation, it's not really the quality of the chicken. That's important. It's not really the brown sugar. That's also important. The secret is we're going to use a combination of oil and butter. That combo, that kind of value pack of oil and butter, man, it tastes so good. And now, so I'm going to put, just a little bit of oil, not to coat the pan. Now, let me get my butter out and get that going in there really quick. This is on a pretty high heat. And so I know that butter burns at high heat. And so again, as I've said in the first two videos, all you chefs out there, all you Billy producers out there are probably thinking, man, what are you doing, dude? Like, yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just doing what kind of makes sense to me. And this makes sense to me. And so we get a little butter in there, and if it burns, it burns. But I must like that burnt butter taste, because man, it tastes really good when it's done. So let me go ahead and kind of get these guys fully coated. So you can hear the sizzle, right? Like we talked about the sizzle when we did the French toast. That sizzle, very, very important. All right, so those guys are ready to go. They're ready to welcome in our little buddies. So I'm going to do 3 here in the cast iron. And you want to make sure that the pans are really, really hot, because you want to get just that really, really strong sizzle, right? So we're going to let those guys work here for just a couple of minutes. And, while that's working, the brown sugar that I use, let me make a quick comment about that. If you noticed, I used, a tablespoon of brown sugar, maybe a little over a tablespoon? That's just not a lot of brown sugar. And so yes, like sugar, the calories, the caloric impact from sugar, whether it be white, brown, whatever, coconut, it can really add up, man. I mean, there's nothing wrong with sugar. There's nothing inherently wrong with sugar whatsoever. But if you're just packing it in, then the calories really start to add up. But we're talking about a little over a tablespoon spread out over 5 chicken breasts. So the caloric impact on each chicken breast is really pretty negligible. But the taste that you get from that spice blend, like when we taste this later on, or if you make it and you taste it, you'll see what I mean. It doesn't taste sweet. You're not going to bite into this and be like, wow, that tastes really sweet. But it's going to be kind of hanging out there in the background, and it's going to give it just such a good flavor. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bring you guys in here for the flip. We're going to zoom in and give you guys kind of a close-up. All right, so you're looking at the cast iron there. I think that I probably got you guys on there. So if we kind of just check them out, you can see that's a really, really nice color on the chicken. It depends on how blackened you want it, but that looks pretty good to me. So that round looks good. We'll knock out this background really fast. And so these have been probably going for, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes. So I wanted to zoom in on the flip for you guys, so you guys kind of get an up-close look at what the chicken should look like in the pan. So there you go. So we're back. Got you guys kind of back on the stand over there. I thought that was kind of cool to kind of do something different, kind of move the camera a bit and show you guys kind of up close. I hope that I got a good angle on that. I was really most concerned with not dropping my phone in the frying pan, honestly. So if it wasn't perfect, I apologize. but my phone survived, which is the most important thing. And so the chicken is working on the other side. I'm going to let that go for about a minute or so. And then I'm going to pop it in the oven for about 9 minutes. And then I'll probably make my oatmeal and my onions and whatnot kind of behind the scenes. And I'll bring you guys back in for the chicken at about 9 minutes or so. I think that would be good because the video is already 21 minutes. I'm trying to keep these guys under like a half an hour because I appreciate you guys so much, taking time out of your day to invest in what I'm doing, hopefully learning something, on your own end. But even still, man, 30, 40 minutes to watch some random guy on the internet, man, ain't nobody got time for that. And I feel you guys, man. So after I pop these in the oven, I'll probably just kind of do the other stuff behind the scenes and bring you guys in for the end. So I'd say that those are probably ready, and I'm really just going by feel, more or less. So we'll turn our burners off so we don't burn the house down. Just pop those guys in there. Oven is set for 350. Experience has shown me that about 9 minutes is about what we're looking for. So that's it, man. I'll see you guys in about 9 minutes, but for you guys, it'll probably be about 5 seconds.